One says he was my friend, the other's like he's a warmonger. I'm starting to think maybe that friendship was a little one-sided. He's still alive, though. Never mind, okay. Oh wait, he's alive. Never mind, we good. Wait, what? Oh, you guys. Listen, I love me a good slow burn episode, such as episode 6, but when you tease one of the coolest freaking fights, with an insect swarm, things are just popping off, and then the credits play and I had no idea that was coming, that's cold, Clevatess. It's very cold. Make sure you drop a like though, show your support, subscribe if you're new around your Patreon so you catch my full live reaction. So, I am still sick. I'm just high functioning sick right now, but last week I was dealing with intense tonsillitis. I took a break last week. I did cover episode 5 last week on Patreon, but yeah, I just couldn't do it. So, good episode last week, but I honestly didn't have a whole lot to say anyway, so it is what it is. But of course, if you do want to see my thoughts on episode 5, it's over there. But episode 6, bit of a different beast. Like, they take it slow, and I'm sure there's going to be some people who will say, oh, that's boring, you know, nothing happened until the end. Highly disagree. It was great. Like, we have a new formed party that is essentially so mix and match that it shouldn't function on paper. You have essentially a dark god who doesn't understand humanity, could destroy it at a moment's notice. You have a girl who hasn't experienced any sort of pleasure in life, really since she was a very young kid and lost everything. You have a baby that could possibly change the entire world, but that thing can't really talk yet, so it just kind of exists. And we got a fallen hero who is a disgrace in the eyes of the world, and is conflicted on, you know, if she's doing good or bad things anymore, given the circumstances. And the idea of just honestly taking, like, I don't know how long it was at least 5 minutes, but just essentially sitting and talking with a dark god, drinking coffee, bonding, seeing what's happening. It's such a weird feeling given where the show started, and I think in any other show, being able to just sit there after a handful of episodes and drink coffee and bond and talk about where things are going to go, what things mean, would feel too fast-paced given where it all started. But honestly, it just works really, really well. And I think what's so fun is any other show would always try to keep Clevatess with everyone. Because at the end of the day, if shit hits the fan too hard, at least we have a backup. Yeah, of course, you know, he's mentioned earlier in the show, I think it was around episode 3 or something, in that area, that he doesn't really want to do a lot of the heavy lifting because he needs to make people think that he's still in the mountain in order to keep the kind of peace of what he was doing over there. Obviously, in this episode, he, you know, rushes off because we convince him to, of course. But at the same time, it's nice to just see that it feels like everyone's going to have a use. Like, of course, the baby is objectively the least useful, but still, in terms of a long-term play, if we're actually going to make this kid king or something, I mean, and also the magical powers that seemingly it possesses, it's going to become useful over time. But as it stands, thing to protect, gotta raise, gotta, you know, keep humanity in check here. But it's just nice, like, the formation of everyone is just, I feel like everyone has their purpose, and I think it seems so small, but the idea of the two sons when we go into the inn, right, and the mom's, like, beating them over the heads, it's just, like, old cartoon style, man. I'm surprised she didn't have a rolling pin just smacking them in the back of the head. The idea that we're so used to in this show, things being so horrible and vile, that I immediately judged those two. I was like, oh, stranger danger, here we go again, because look at what we came off of in the previous arc. And what happened? No, they're just like, we can't, you know, they got weapons, Mom, we gotta kill them. Like, this is a bad world. I appreciate that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but at the same time, you should always have an element of skepticism, and I think that's why the mom was so great in that dynamic, because she's like, hey, you know, depending on your answer, I'll sick 'em on you. But obviously, we gotta hear you out. You got a kid, you know, who wouldn't have a sword in this environment? It kind of makes sense. I don't know, it feels competently written. Like, despite the amount of magic and demonic stuff at play, the human side of this world, both good and bad, just feels believable. And the idea that we're dealing with an army of magical mages who are all varied in different ways. Like, the person who killed Alicia's father, this dragon slayer, now he says they were friends. Personally, I think this was a father who basically pretended to be friends just to not get killed up to that point. Their interactions with each other very, very different. He has a giant lightning sword, which was cool. I think it's lightning, especially because the way it was like being summoned into the sky. At first I thought it was fire, but the way it connected to the clouds, it made me think lightning. But either way, cool as hell. We got a girl who can, I think, has like some sort of magnetic power. Like, I think that's her magic. Given the fact that the bed frames, which were steel, got thrown into the ceiling, and then she's using nails as weapons. I assume she's like a magnetic mage, which is really cool. And then the main one, which was the most like bombastic, was the insect, which, if I'm not mistaken, the entire insect swarm was 2D. There might have been some 3D, like, because there's so many, but I'm almost positive that was entirely 2D, which is insane to think. There's a lot of excitement that's about to happen, and I think what I really appreciate is the past 2 episodes really allowed this show to simmer. We didn't just, like, really the first 4 episodes of the show were pedal to the metal. It was maximum carnage and despair, and then 5 and 6 kind of put it on cruise for a bit. The one thing I'll mention from last week, which I really like, is we got introduced to another dark beast, which could also talk. And apparently that's not going to be a common thing. They do kind of establish that this bird might be the only one we ever have that interaction with. But still, a cool addition nonetheless, and it will be interesting to see what other dark beasts we deal with, because even if they can't talk with us, I mean, plenty of dark beasts might just lash out at us over time. I mean, it'll be cool to see what they do with it. But either way, this show has been impressive. It's been hands down one of the most consistently enjoyable shows of the season. I love the production, the background art, the music, everything about the show clicks with me. It pains me it's not a 2-core, but I appreciate that we are clearly getting 12 episodes of absolute quality. And, you know, despite this manga starting up in, I think it's 2020 if my memory serves, but it's in that area, it really does feel like something that's pulled from the 80s. Like, that's the best, like, I don't know how, like, I've seen some people agree with me, but I've also seen people say, like, I don't get it. From the visual style to the way they're progressing the story, the way they're telling it, this feels like something that is just finally getting adapted, and they're adapting it like it was, you know, made back in the 80s or 90s. Like, that's how it feels. And I really appreciate an author who can go back to basics in a way, in terms of how to do that old school dark fantasy vibe, but also not feel like it's just trying to emulate and replicate old stuff. It's a beautiful series, man. It pisses me off that I had no idea the episode was close to ending. I really thought we were at the midway point. Like, despite it being a slow burn episode, they took their time and made it just fly by. Like, I really thought we had, like, I wasn't expecting the full fight, but I was like, okay, you know, it's kicking off. We're going to see a couple sword swings. Maybe we'll see a little communication, and then no, they just ended it. Like, I can wait. I watch weekly anime all the time, but when you like the show as much as me, cliffhangers even start to bother me, and I'm a huge supporter of cliffhangers, so that's saying something. Let me know your thoughts down below. What have you been thinking of Clevatess? Let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, Patreon's where you catch my full live reactions and other exclusives, like, hey, I give video shoutouts to all my patrons. So today we got Soakin' the Lurker, C, Dennis Jansen, Colton Nutter, James Reinhardt, Abraham Volkwitz, DX, FBI, and we also have Old Deuce. I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you'll have a good one.